Hello, welcome to Landon Live. My name is Landon Harvey. Today we have Steve Axtell of Axtell Expressions. They create innovations to help you entertain the world. Steve Axtell, how are you doing tonight?
Oh man, good, Landon. You are rocking it, my friend.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you on here. You have been very busy. Let's just go ahead and take off with that with COVID and everything Axtell has done, and then we'll kind of move into your story and how you got into this.
Yeah, COVID's been tough on everybody, no question about it. We have done our part to try to tighten our belt because we have to lower our costs as any business does. So we have at the shop, I'm sure you've seen some of the tours that we've done, in the past and stuff, but we have reduced from 5 to 3 units and brought our studio here to our upstairs at the house. And the studio at the house is really saving us a lot of money, obviously. And we use 3/4 of our house now for business, which is true of a lot of self-employed people. But I don't have any employees here. We have them all down at the workshop at the studio still. And we have had to lay off a couple of our key employees. Very sad time. But we're doing it. They were able to get unemployment, so it's not a bad deal for them. And Jose has been with me for 20 years. Teresa's with me. My son Ryan has joined us this year or last year, and he's killing it with me. We're just doing a great job. We've got Wes in the tech department and Kathy in bookkeeping and the office management. So I mean, we're doing the best we can to keep it alive, because we're here for you. We want to keep making products and innovations that help you entertain the world, as you noted. And it's just been, it's tough for everyone. Every one of our customers has lost their ability to earn an income because the pandemic has shut them down in most states. Anyway, most states. Yeah. Well, so how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm staying busy. I've got some side projects I'm working on, and of course, I'm doing these Landon Lives, which has been a really neat thing and kind of something for the event community, as we missed the last convention, to kind of stick together and reminisce on how we all got into it. And I think that's a really neat thing. You've been able to do something with the Dinkies that I think is really neat. You tell the story about the Dinkies and how that came to be, because they were created, I think, during COVID, but you had the idea for them years before.
25 years ago. You're right. 25 years ago, I had a dream. I literally had a dream. In my dream, I walked into a toy store, into the front door of the toy store, and I was looking around. And over in the corner, in the back left corner of the toy store, was this tree of puppets. Let me just use this as an example. It was a tree of puppets like this. Yeah. And so I walked over to it, and I was looking at them, and I was so amazed at the detail of the little faces and stuff and the colors and things. So I just remember, I don't remember this guy in it or this guy in it. It wasn't like that. You know how dreams are; they're abstract.
Yeah, they're like the outline of the idea.
Exactly. So I was just looking at the details, and I remember just really focusing on them. Oh my gosh, they're so small, but they're so cute. They have so much. And I looked at the top up here, and my name was there. Axtell was there. And this was way back. I was very young. And 25 years ago, for crying out loud. And I woke up, I wrote that dream down in my journal, and I have had it there in my memory for years. I've told my kids about it and hadn't done anything with it because it's a different kind of an approach to what all the stuff that we had been doing. We've been going really high tech, and this was a much simpler idea.
Had you drawn any ideas out, or did you just sketch out the idea and just leave it there?
That's cool. No, in fact, my notes from that night, because I journal every day. I have since 1982. I have notebooks. I have 300 notebooks. I've got my current one. And the one just from today, I'll go and I'll say, hey, had a great podcast or videocast or vodcast or vidcast, whatever you call it, with Landon Harvey. And we talked about, so it'll all be in there. every single day of my life since the beginning of the business, when Susie said, "Hey, let's go into business together," is all documented in my journals. And so that night, it was kind of a sketch, just kind of a sketch in the notebook of a pole with some like circle heads and bodies hanging off. Nothing in detail at all. Just like they were so incredibly detailed, and it just served as an inspiration. So that's what, with the onset of the pandemic, it gave me a little bit of extra time to kind of explore some of these things, because the big things that I've been doing, as you know, the animatronics and there you go, the animatronics and all the AI and that kind of stuff, because it's so dependent on crowds, it just wasn't, it's just not happening right now. So I thought, well, let's make this happen. And I think this is super cool. I don't know what you think, but this is what I think. Virtual shows. Virtual shows. Yeah. Right. Look at this. They're right there for virtual shows. And they can come on, and they're so small. Look at how small they are. Your hand goes right in the back of their head.
You perform your virtual show.
Exactly.
Right. That's right. Yeah. I'm a dinosaur. I'm a D-Rex. D-Rex. Yeah, he is a D-Rex, but I'm a bunny, and I hop.
That's awesome. That is so neat. I love that. So how did you even start? I mean, how did you get into puppetry? Because now you guys don't just build puppets. I mean, I was gonna say puppet builder Steve Axtell, but you're so much more than that now. You're known for more than that. And Axtell Expressions is. So how did you start off in your career?
Well, we started out by my father was a pastor, and in my church there were like children evangelists that would come to the church, okay, and they would come and they would do like a week-long services every night of the week, and I had to go, being a teacher's kid, I had to go.
Oh, of course.
So I'm sitting there every night, and boy, they were exciting. They brought puppets, they brought magic, they brought slides back then. Slides. It was so cool, and it was like, whoa! I want to do this when I grow up. And so, because I was the pastor's son, they would actually, a lot of them would stay at our house every night, right, while they were there at the church.
Sure.
So they'd be staying at we had what we call a parsonage, which is the pastor's house. Yeah. So they would stay there, and at night after the services were over and stuff, we're having dinner, and then it's time to go to bed or whatever. During that time, the twilight hours, they would open their cases and pull out a magic trick or pull out a vent dummy and say, Steve, check this out. And I was just eating it up, man. I was so inspired by those guys. It was incredible, and it was magical. And so it planted that in my head really young, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
The first puppet you thought was a hard figure, or was it like a Muppet type puppet?
Yeah, nope. The first one I had was a Danny O'Day.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right up there in the corner, of course.
Oh, wow.
There he is.
Yeah.
Yep. And so anyway, I was performing in school and stuff as a kid, and I remember my first time doing it publicly on stage at, I think it was at our school. I got up there and froze and forgot everything I was going to say. Forgot the entire routine. Yeah, and I went crying off the stage. It was terribly embarrassing. About 11 years old. When I was 14, here's the deal. Here's the story right here. I'm sitting there at my aunt's house, and she says, "Oh, we got to keep the kids entertained. Let me turn on Sesame Street." Never heard it. I never heard of Sesame Street. I don't know what that is. So she turned it on, and I'm watching, and there come these Muppets walking by. And I was used to, I don't know if you remember Kukla, Fran, and Ollie. You're a historian, so you might. Kukla, Fran, and Ollie were, yeah, sure. So they were, excuse me, I'm fixing my camera here. They were in puppet stages on TV, but they were,
the stage was shown.
Yeah. So here's the window, and they'd pop their heads out, and Fran was in front, and she would talk to them, and they would talk back in a window. When I saw Sesame Street, I got it. immediately I saw Kermit walking by. I saw Miss Piggy or Grover walking by, the Muppets from Sesame Street, and I was blown away. It was like, what is going on? They're like actors. They're moving in real space. That was Jim Henson's real contribution to television puppetry, to take them out of the windows. Mm-hmm. So that day, I became totally inspired. I knew what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It's probably like you.
Yeah.
I don't know who inspired you, but boy, it was what turned my trigger on. And so I began to make copies of the Muppets. I made Kermit. I made Oscar the Grouch in his trash can. I did performances in our church and in our schools with what I thought were okay to do, copies of the Muppets. Didn't think about what's right or wrong about that. I was 14 years old,
I think every builder or someone that new to it doesn't realize it, and that comes later. It's the creativity and the
it's just inspiration and copy. Yeah, I have a lot of kids that are copying me and sending me pictures of like, oh, I just did this of your puppet. What do you think? And it's like, oh, dude, that's great. Well, so my mom took a picture. I was in the newspaper, and my mom cut the newspaper article out and mailed it to Henson Associates. She found where they were located in New York and sent it to them. And I got a letter back, and I still have it, from the legal department. And it was real kind to me. They know I was a young kid and stuff. And they said, hey, Steve, you have a lot of skill, a lot of talent. You should find your own look. Don't use the word Muppets. Don't make our characters, but make your own characters. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally blew it. I totally screwed up. And now my hero hates me. I was 14, I was depressed. And what am I going to do? So exactly. I started on a journey to find my own look. And I went into Walt Disney World in Florida with my parents. We were in Ohio. We lived in Ohio, but we'd go to Florida for vacations and stuff. And so I was there. And I walked into the magic shop, the same magic shop that Steve, the comedian, Steve.
Oh, Steve Martin.
Steve Martin, Houdini. Steve Martin worked in. He was actually a demo kid in that exact magic shop. I walked in. I looked at the wall of masks behind the cash register, and I was blown away. And I thought, could this be my look? They were all latex masks.
Okay.
So I thought, wow, those could be puppets. And I began to study latex with my art teacher, and I told him about what I wanted to do in high school, and he said, it's pretty difficult to work with latex. I've only heard about it. I don't know anything about it. So I dug in. I found everything I could find and started working first with paper mache. Then I figured out latex and stuff. So anyway, through that time, I knew that I was not to copy the Muppets. And that was my motto. From then on, don't copy anyone. That was it. So
I'm sorry, but I have to stop you here because this is such an interesting thing. As a builder, I get so many people asking me, how do you find your style? Because that is a very difficult thing to do. How long did that take you to say, okay? Because if you look at your stuff, you're like, oh, that's from Axtell. You know what I mean?
It's really true that you do develop a style. I can see your style as well. I feel it. I know it when I see it. And Marianne Taylor and Verna, it's all different. Everybody's got a style. Chance Wolf, everybody has a style. And you can so I discovered mine, and I concentrated on certain elements probably that come from, some of it comes from me, from my face. I think a lot of my characters have eye bags. Stuff. Yeah. And but anyway, there's a lot of different things. Plus, my own artistic ability to sculpt has developed over the years. My first stuff was pretty rough. Oh, fun fact. Let me show you my first president. This is my Ronald Reagan, which is in Ben Haven Museum. And look, it's kind of a very, very rough, very asymmetrical. It still captures him. You know exactly who it is.
Oh yeah, completely.
No question about it.
Right there.
I mean, you get close up, there's like fingerprints, there's like, you know what I mean? It's like super rough. There's nothing in the ear. I don't, but now, and then you compare that to Joe, and it's very, very different. This is Joe Biden, of course.
Yeah.
And we can come to him later. But anyway, it's really cool to see the progress of the look. Anyway, about 5 years ago, I get a call from Sesame Street. I pick up the phone, and my office manager said, "Steve, Sesame Street's on the phone." Like, oh, come on. I pick it up. I said, "Steve Axtell here." "Hello, Mr. Axtell. This is Lewis Mitchell. I'm a producer at Sesame Street, and we just wanted to connect with you and let you know how much you inspire us."
Wow.
What? And I continued the conversation. He said, "We watch your YouTube videos like every day here." And he goes, "In fact, I've played your platypus video so many times that my fellow workers come in and they say, 'Please turn that off.'"
I'm a platypus.
And that song plays so much in my office. He said, they asked me to please turn that down. Please turn it off. So he laughed and he said, "We just want to know how much you inspire us, and want you to know how much we appreciate the fact that you're not one of the companies that are just copying the Muppets." And I was like, wow, that's huge. I said, "Do you know my history with Jim?" He goes, "Of course, we read your website. We know all about you." And I was just so excited. It came full circle. And he sent me a poster that was signed by all the Muppeteers, the puppeteers that work on the Muppets. And Carol Spinney was one of them. Big Bird.
Oh, man. Yeah. I love that. Well, as a quick little story, because I heard you say this on something else. Could you tell the story of the platypus and the platypus song? It's something that really made Axtell Expressions viral, not just to the Vent community, but outside and to the world, really.
Sure. Yeah, so it was 2008. We had the financial banking crisis that happened, and the bottom fell out of all sales, and people were just like, "What are we going to do? We can't make any money." It was crazy, and I came to my staff and I pulled them all together and I said, "Look, I'm going to have to do some massive layoffs here." I had 10 people at the time, and I said, "I'm going to have to do some layoffs if we don't figure this out." So I said, "Here's the challenge to all of you: go around our shop. There's lots of nooks and crannies that we haven't seen for years because we haven't dug deep enough. Go through and find any supplies, anything, materials, supplies that we've got excess of that we're not using now. And come back to me and let me know what you find." So they all went on a scavenger hunt, and somebody came back with a big roll, huge roll of gray fur. And it was this fur right here. This is my platypus. This is the very first one. So it was this gray fur right here.
Hi.
Yeah, hang on. So this gray fur right here, and it was interesting. I looked at that gray fur and said, "Okay, great. We got a lot of this gray fur. Let's figure out what we can do." And so I said, "Please figure out all the characters that we can make with this." And they had all kinds of things like a rat and a wolf and duck, a gray duck, and I thought, gray duck. And then all of a sudden I saw this face, which was Chuck the Duck's face. You recognize that? Chuck the Duck is a yellow duck. Yeah. And this was sitting, and it was unpainted. It was just sitting on a shelf like this, probably on a shelf, just the head. And I thought, this fur, that face, what about a platypus? We could make a platypus. And it was just a kind of an off-the-wall thought. And I thought,
off the wall?
Yeah, just kind of a bizarre thought.
Okay.
And so we took this and put it together. I got the Chuck the Duck face and the gray fur, put it together. Now, actually, a real platypus has brown fur and a gray bill. But I thought, why not reverse it and just make it fun? And so I put this little guy together. And then I thought, okay, great. So we'll sell this. How are we going to sell it? And I went home and I began to think, what ventriloquist is going to talk about a platypus? That's the hardest word in the ventriloquist language. Platypus. And especially, but then I began.
Song, wasn't there?
There was a challenge. Yeah. There was quite a challenge with Kim Ho from England and Dave. They had a blast with Dave Andrews from UK. They had a blast with that. So anyway, so I was in the shower the next morning after I knew I was going to sell the platypus. I'm in the shower and I was thinking to myself, this is before I went into work. And I was thinking, wow, what am I going to do to sell this thing? They're going to need a routine. They're going to need a routine that talks about the craziness of a platypus and how different they are. And just, like God's funniest creature, kind of a thing. And it's a mix of so many different things. It's a mammal that lays eggs and all this stuff. And I began to think about a song, and I was just like, oh, man, I don't know. And I'm kind of ADD.
Right.
I don't know if you know that, but I'm ADD.
I didn't know that.
You didn't? Oh, well, it's pretty obvious to anybody around me close. I totally check out and I'm in my own thoughts at all times, most of the time. Yeah. So I'm in the shower and I'm going platypus, 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 platypus. I'm a platypus. I got out of the shower. I was totally wet. I went and got my phone. I recorded it on my answering machine. I said, platypus. I'm a platypus. Ridiculous. I can't do the same thing again. I got to do something else. Exactly right. So and I put that together, and that was the chorus. I knew I had it. I knew I had a song. Knew I had a hook. But then I went to the Facebook group. I don't know if you were part of that at the time. You were probably just getting out of diapers.
Yeah.
2008. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I went to the Facebook group. Axtell Entertainers, which at the time was called Axtell's Fan Club. And I said, hey, folks, I'm doing a platypus song and I need adjectives. I need what you would say to call a platypus. Like, I'm a duck-billed platypus. Okay, that's one idea. Come up with other ones. And people would say, web-footed. Okay, web-footed platypus. Got it. Okay, great. So a whole bunch of ideas were flowing in. And I was like so I call up my producer in the shop. And I said, Greg Jackson. Oh my gosh, he's amazing. He's like John Williams, affordable. And he could he worked for me full time as my production manager. And we made great songs together. All the first Axe tracks and stuff, all of that was Greg Jackson. And the Birds theme, the Axtell Expressions theme that you hear and love, all of that stuff was Greg Jackson. So anyway, I said, Greg, I've got this idea for a platypus. I'm going to record a video. I've got to have a song together, and it's simple. Here it is. And I had played it on the piano and sent it to him on email. He goes, well, that's just the key of C. What's the big deal? No big deal. I just have to have it. You got to nail it for me because, and I said, I can play it, but I'd rather have you play it while I sing it. Let's just get this thing knocked out. Okay. Sure. I had verses kind of crafted and written down. So we go into the studio, Landon, and it was amazing. Greg tells me that morning, he goes, I'm on vacation at 2:00, right? I'm like, what? He goes, it's been on the books. You approved it like months ago. Today is my vacation. I leave at 2:00. We're flying out of LA. Oh my gosh, no way. Okay. So I said, we're going to have to work through lunch. He goes, oh man. Okay. So here we are, and we're going, and we're just like starting in at like 10:00 because I had just finished writing all the lyrics. I said, I don't even know what I'm going to do. Honestly, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm going to have this platypus, and I'm going to be like super irritated when he just keeps singing. Yeah. And so, the rest is history. You can watch the video and see it. But we recorded it not as a ventriloquist. I didn't even have time to even begin to think about practicing that. It's not about me anyway. I was just a song. Mm-hmm. It's about selling this puppet to as many people as we could sell it to. And I was hoping to get people not even in our market, like everybody buying this thing. How do I get other people buying it? So I grabbed this puppet off the shelf. It's not even finished. Look at this. You're going to love this. Look at this.
That's such a builder thing. You create the prototype and then you worry about,
Exactly. It's like, I got to get the video, right? So we went, I knew you'd appreciate that. So we started the song. So I'm doing this thing where the platypus is singing and he's doing that. Well, and then Greg's telling me, 45 minutes, only got 45 minutes left, and I'm like freaking out because we've only shot like the first scene where he's just singing and looking up. And then I go, okay, well, I don't know. I'm gonna look down and sing the second part. Let him sing. So like I'm looking down, and he looks up, and then what do we do next? I don't know. Let's have him jump in my arms, or let's, it's just that kind of thing. And in fact, one of the shots, if you watch it closely, I'm looking over to the side, like the platypus is here, but I'm looking past over there, and I'm looking at the clock that's on the computer over there, and I'm freaking out because I know I've only got like 20 minutes left. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually pretty mad because I have this, I'm trying to save my company, right?
Yeah.
And he's got to leave, and I can't do it without him. Greg is just too good. He's so good at all of it. So I said, we just got to get it done. And I kept making mistakes, of course, blowing it myself. Mm-hmm. And then we got it all filmed. Anyway. And the thing went viral. The platypus video started out just, like I got like any video, you get, 5, 10, 20. Hey, I got 50. All right. 100, 200. Whoa, what's going on? It's happening. And all of a sudden, a guy, a guru, YouTube guru, Charles Trippy, got a hold of it. And he said, oh my gosh, this is my favorite video of the whole year. And he had a huge following. Charles Trippy, huge following. I forget the name of his channel at the time, CTI CFX or I don't know, something crazy like that. Anyway, right. He television, Internet Killed Television was one of his channels. Internet Killed Television. But anyway, Charles Trippy totally made his own videos watching my video and said, oh my gosh, guys, we got to flood this thing with likes. We got to make this thing go viral. And all of a sudden it was like, yeah, it was like 200.
So this was within what amount of time from you posting it that day? Was this like
posting it that day, and let's say 2 weeks later, I was at 200,000, 300,000, and then it went to 1 million, and then it went to 2 million, and I couldn't believe it. And then now, I mean, it's around 4 million something. It's not, something can go viral now and get that many in one night. So I'm not saying it's no big deal. But for us in the puppet world, in the ventriloquist community, that was amazing. And I'm so grateful to Charles Trippy and for all the people that helped me get it viral because it spread like fire.
Were you able to sell the platypus puppets to other people aside from them?
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I started getting inquiries, and of course, a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, it's so expensive!" And then, but because they weren't in the market, they weren't in our market, and they were going to perform it. They just wanted it as a toy. So I started making a toy version of it for them, for the YouTubers, and that went. And then we manufactured that one that you're showing now, the starter platypus, overseas. I think we made that one in Indonesia, and then we brought those in, and we were able to sell them for $80 instead of $350.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, it really took off. It's just been, and they're still selling. The platypus song still rules. It's still a great thing. And I just feel sorry for the vents that try it.
There was a photo back at one of the conventions. I think it was back at one of the Drawbridge conventions of an Axtell. It was an Axtell photo with all the platypus puppets and their owner.
Oh my gosh! Oh, how cool is that?
And I think Dirk was in it, and he had his purple platypus.
So all the platypuses gathered. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it was neat. Well, that's
neat. They always have an Axtell family photo at Ben Haven, but I haven't seen the one that's all platypuses. That's great. If you find it, share it with me.
Yeah, for sure. This is interesting. What was your most difficult build, looking back on everything you've done so far?
Oh my gosh, no question about it. The frizzle chickens. Frizzle chickens. It's like over 100 chickens that were going to be sent to a restaurant, and they put them up. Well, it was 62 chickens. Their marketing team said over 100 chickens. So 62 chickens though, and there were 10 sets of 6 chickens. Each chicken coop was 6 characters: Fred, Frizzle, Frazzle, Henrietta, Cluck, all of those, and Frida. And those characters would sing. They would jump up from their positions. They were laying eggs, but they would start singing together, and they would sing a song every They said every 12 minutes. So in the restaurant.
We have a video right here.
Cool.
My favorite part from that video is seeing the other people, everyone dining and their reactions. It's the cutest thing. Whether it's kids or adults or grandparents, the people videoing. I love that.
That's so fun. Well, that was, as you can imagine, just to even make that many puppets is just tough.
What was the time frame on that?
Mechanics in them. Well, we gave ourselves 6 months, and I think it took a year to complete the whole project. But we were sending them out in groups, and they were mounting them up and putting them up. And man, David Fee is such an innovator. He was the second biggest entrepreneur in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and that's where Dollywood is. And so Dolly Parton is the first number one. And then David Fee was number two. And he sold his company. He sold the restaurant, the whole Frizzles. He did really well selling it all. And it's still continuing as far as I know.
That's so neat. So, when we look at it, we see the finished product, but, kind of taking it from the builder perspective, what all aspects went into that?
Oh, my goodness. So, first of all, I had to find a system that would run animatronics from one brain. From a media server that I'd be able to program all of them, and they would all be synced up all around the restaurant, right? Because there was 5 rooms to this restaurant, and all of them were circled with chickens on the shelves, like you saw. We only saw one room there. That was only one room.
I didn't realize it was 5. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So a lot of people from CAX or Cadabra, it was actually held in Pigeon Forge one year, and we all came over there and had breakfast. So they all got to see it, and so we dominated the center corridor where that was shot. Man, so you can imagine that we had, first of all, I had to find that. So I found that, and it was Waggle Systems, the company that I used, and they were fantastic, and they helped me. They held my hand through the whole thing, showing me how to program. I went through all the tutorials and stuff, and tried to figure out how. And it was so expensive. It was just like, like $100,000, for just the parts to be able to do all this, and that it was on a media server and ran on a clock, and they hadn't done a project this big, by far the biggest project that they had done, and certainly we had done. I've made individual animatronics before. I've had 2 or 3 working together. And that was huge. Oh my gosh. So I had to bring in all kinds of engineers and we consultants, but my team held together, John Schmeling in the tech department, and we brought in Derby and Mel and so many people that came in to help us with the tech, the high tech part of it. This was before Ryan was even in the business, and so we had built them, and then we had to test them and break them. And we had to figure out what parts were the weakest parts and strengthen those parts. Yeah, because we had levers and like aluminum shafts and things that were linkage to, pull the heads left and right or whatever. And some stuff would break, and that's got to be stronger. So we go up in diameter. We go up in a different material. Some of it was titanium. We were working with all kinds of metals and stuff, and servos would burn out, but we found really, really good servos. And all of the stuff, we tried to keep it within their budget too, because that was a very big concern. But all in all, they spent about $1 million on this, just on the animatronic characters, let alone the restaurant. I can't imagine what the whole project cost, because they had a huge kitchen and all these tables, and just renovated this building that was right next to the Comedy Barn, which is a famous comedy outlet in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. It was great.
Wow. That's phenomenal. It must be so neat to see the final everything finally there and set up and ready to go.
Yeah. I came out and I watched it, and I literally, when I saw it playing for the first time, I cried. I was standing there in their kitchen, and I was looking around, and I just started crying. It was like wow, what a cool thing. It's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to do something that big.
Yeah, for sure. What is your what's one of your favorite stories from work?
Oh my gosh.
And I have some photos here that I could show that might relate to that, unless you already have one.
Oh, I've got some stories. I got stories about everybody, but I'm curious what you have up your sleeve.
Okay, well, we've got photos here.
Oh, Chris Angel. Yeah, I've got his head right here. I got a copy of it. Here it is.
Oh, neat.
This is Chris. Okay. All right. So Chris, an amazing guy. An alternative guy, no question about it. He's the magician that magicians dislike in Vegas. A lot of magicians dislike him, but he's very successful and has
amazing
called
show.
me up. Oh, absolutely, yeah, beyond belief, and all the new stuff that he's doing. I'm not even sure what the newest stuff is, but during Beyond Belief, he called me up, and he was working with Cirque du Soleil also, and he said, Steve, I want to have a puppet of me made that I'll bring out, or I'll have my warm-up comedian bring out, and he'll bring it out, and he's going to bring it out in the beginning of the show. Chris Angel can't be here tonight, but I brought along the puppet, right? So I've got Chris Angel right here, folks. Give him a hand, give him a big hand. And Chris was supposed to be this puppet, and so he would bring him out, and then he says, eventually, I want him to pee on the audience. Huh? Yeah, I want the puppet, to pee on the audience. So I just need a nozzle and a squeeze bulb, full of water. And okay, really? Yeah, but I want two puppets, and I want one with this look. And he sent me pictures, right? So this is one look, and then the other one was a red burnt hair. There you go, the short one. Yeah. So we did both of them, and then he said, and I want a really good 6-pack. So I made him an 8-pack, just for fun. And he noticed it right away. He says, you made, what's an 8-pack? I said, no, dude, it's because you're so incredibly buff. I wanted to give you an 8-pack. He goes, all right. So, and he had bare chest and all. And and it was great. And so I put it together, put it out there. And, but he was stalled in some sort of, both of the puppets got lost in his shipping. They went to a place that he was on the road for part of the year. And so they went there, and he goes, I can't get them. They're stuck there in some mess up with it. But they eventually found their way back to Vegas, and they were in a show. So I went and saw the show and got pictures with him backstage and stuff. But that night, Michael Jackson's sister was sitting right in front of me in the audience. Now, daughter. So that would have been, what's her name? Paris or no?
I don't know.
I'm so sorry. She was sitting, anyway, Michael Jackson's daughter was sitting right in front of me with a bodyguard. And Chris had been told that he can't mention that she was in the audience at all because the crowd would go crazy. So she's just sitting there nonchalantly, but I recognized her, and somebody was pointing it out. And then Chris, all of a sudden from the stage, says, hey, folks, Michael Jackson used to love my show and used to come. His daughter is here. I almost said her name. Dang it. I think it starts with a P. Anyway, he said, she's here tonight. And he pointed, and oh my gosh, the bodyguard got really mad. And they had security come and escort them out. And then Chris was supposed to meet me backstage at let's just say half an hour after the show. It was an hour and a half later. And he finally came in and said, hey, Steve, I'm so sorry, man. I had the Jacksons back there. And she was, bodyguard was freaking out because I wasn't supposed to say anything, but I couldn't help it. I had to say something, she's there, she's there. Yeah. So I said, oh, that's okay. So we got pictures and stuff. But anyway, that's the story of that picture.
I love that. And then we have another photo here. Someone else in Vegas that you've worked with. See who this guy is.
Ah, yes. Terry and Vicky the Cougar. So, lots of stories about this one. So, Vicky the Cougar was made because Terry was just launching and he wanted something really edgy. Mm-hmm. And he had a writer working with him, Rick White. And Rick was trying to really get Terry to be really edgy and very, very Vegas, Mm-hmm. And so he said, I want a sexy gal, super sexy. I mean, so sexy that, I said, okay. Sexy girl, right. But she's older and she's got facelift and she's this and that. I go, she's a cougar. Okay. And Terry and I were joking about, we didn't know what a cougar was. Terry and I, we thought it was, he wanted a little leopard,
Right.
Yeah, a cougar. I make cougars. But no, a cougar is an older lady that likes a younger man. And mm-hmm. So okay. So I began to make drawings of different ones, and they ended up picking out the drawing that they liked. And so I made Vicky, and I said, okay, but when she leaves my shop, she's a Sunday school teacher. I don't know what's going to happen to her when she hits Vegas. Anyway, Terry said, would you please come out to Vegas? And I've got pictures on Facebook of this weekend. It was an amazing weekend. So I said, sure, I'd be happy to come out and bring her to me. And so I had a few mannerisms, this thing with the finger under the hair and flipping the hair. That was one of them. I said, check this out. It looks really cool. Terry loved that. And he says,
always gets a big laugh.
Yeah, huge laugh. And so let me try it. And he was doing it. And he goes, would you hang around and be in my writer's meeting too? And I said, sure, be glad to. Well, in the writer's meeting, I met Rick, this guy, this one writer that, that had said, I want her to be, so incredibly sexy. Anyway, so he comes up and starts talking like dirty to Vicky, the puppet. Puppet's on my arm, and Rick's like talking in her face, saying all this stuff. And so I had Vicky slap him in the face with her hand. And it surprised me and really surprised him because, I mean, it was like a latex hand hitting his face. It was like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on? And I said, oh, man, sorry, man. She can't control herself. Sorry. And so anyway, I guess that's a little bit of revenge. But we had a great writers meeting with Terry and his writers, and I gave my input, what I thought, and they took it and ran with it, and Vicky became famous and still part of the show, as you know, because we were sitting together.
Yes.
At his what was it? At his 10th anniversary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the Mirage. Yeah, and she's in every show. It's really neat. And she's got different outfits for different, Christmas shows and other things.
Yeah.
I love.
Oh, it was so fun. That was such a fun get together. And you were hanging around in the hallway out front because after the dinner party, you had to be 21. Yeah, you had to be 21. And I'm telling you, you had the best seat outside because it was so loud. The band was playing so loud. You couldn't even. I was trying to talk to friends and stuff. Hey, how you doing? And it was like this, you couldn't hear each other talking and stuff. But oh my gosh, the food was tremendous. Terry was there, had a great, and he got renewed.
It was so much fun. Yeah, it was hilarious because my dad was there with me, and he was able to be inside. And after at the end of the night, he's like, I think that you got more photos with people than I did because you're right by me.
Yes, so it's so true. And we kept jumping out. We jumped over the wall and came out and visited with you, and there was a lot of. It was so fun.
And we were.
And I saw your puppet that you had made for Terry. You opened up your case, and there was. Who was it?
It wasn't a Bernie Sanders puppet, but it was this old man puppet that I had built that I was going to sell at convention that year. And it was one of the few puppets he had purchased from me after seeing it in a video.
So cool, man.
And then I said, I'd love to, because I'm always improving. And I said I'd love to build a Bernie puppet for you that looks more like Bernie, so people don't look at this and say, even though it kind of does, but it didn't fully. And so he let me do that, and we built that down the line. And I don't have the photo of it, but there's a photo somewhere of your Trump puppet, which I have a photo here just of the Trump, which is hilarious. So cool. And he's got all the animations, the hair, and I'm pretty sure the eyebrows. He did a bit back and forth where Trump and Bernie went back and forth, and it was
fun.
So
that's great. Yeah, he did that on, I think it was YouTube, right? It wasn't in the show, but it was a YouTube video.
I think it was actually in a show. He's done some stuff with on YouTube. Yeah, he had it.
Okay.
And it got cut because of COVID. Everything got shut down. But
so that's interesting. So Terry wanted a Trump, and I said, well, I'm going to be adding a Trump to our line, just like Biden. I do all of the presidents. I have since Reagan, except for George W. For some reason, nobody ordered George W. There was so much going on that year with all the heavy stuff with 9/11 going on. I think it was just not something to make fun of. Anyway, so I made Terry's, and I said, Terry, he wanted an exclusive one. I said, well, I can make an exclusive Trump for you. That's yours. And so his is the one you saw in the photo that you just showed. Sure. That one has a moving wig. He said, I want it to just flip its wig as if it's, like on its, like it's alive or whatever. I said, well, there's some other videos right now. And it was Scott Lamb that had, he had been doing something with one of the magazines, Vogue or one of the magazines. I think it's, anyway. And his would open up and there were eyes in it. It would talk. And I said, it's not going to do that. I said, no. It's just going to pop up like it's a wig. I said, a fright wig, a ventriloquist fright wig. No problem at all. Yeah. So we made a ventriloquist fright wig on it. In fact, I had I don't know if you were there that year. That year I played in the band.
No, but I've seen footage of it on YouTube.
Okay. I was at Vent Haven and we played in a band, and then I did an Obama routine. And the Obama routine said that he's going to retire. Obama's going to retire after he was president. He was to go be a ventriloquist. And I said, we're going to have Joe Biden as your dummy. And he goes, no, better than that, Donald Trump. You imagine him with a fright wig. So I had already had that in there. And then, and so when Terry said that, I said, yeah, it's a fright wig. We can do that. Just as long as it doesn't talk or, it's doing that thing. So we did it. So that's Terry's exclusive Trump. And then we came out with our own Trump in our line. And this is a different sculpt altogether.
Sure.
And you see the very different look that it has.
Yeah.
Terry wanted a Trump that wasn't making fun of him, but was just Trump. And so I made one a little more fun. And I had to study his hair, and I wanted to sculpt it and I ended up just putting it down into like a dog turd because I couldn't figure out how to end the hair. So I just swirled.
Are there certain
like an ice cream cone?
Yeah, I love that. Are there certain things when building puppets with latex that you can't do, like the cliff of the hair, like that in the face features? Are you limited on any of that in the sculpt that you have to be mindful of for the final?
Yeah, certainly. The mouth movement's the most critical part. And you never know when it's in clay, you never know how it's going to go. So the very first pull out of the mold, latex, is that test. Looking at the test, and this was just amazing. It flexed so well. And I've got that issue with every sculpt. And, some of it you just, by going deep here in the crevices, that allows for the movement to be, even if a person doesn't have that, if it's too flat, it's going to buckle. It's going to like pop in and stuff. It's not going to move right. So by putting those crevices in here, it allows for better movement. It's kind of like putting a slot jaw on a character. Yeah.
Was that difficult building another, or did you say, okay, I'll just build the Trump for the public like this, where it's cartoony, and I'll do Terry's more realistic?
No, well, I was glad that Terry didn't want him to be too much of a caricature. He wanted to have kind of a respectable Trump. And so I love it. So I'll go crazy with the other one. So that's a lot different. And I know that's what people wanted anyway. They wanted to make fun of him. I'm still selling Trumps, and we're selling Bidens like crazy. Bidens are going crazy. They're going nuts.
Speaking of, you've been working. I'll show some photos here while you get him. Of the sculpt, which is, I love these photos when you revealed them to your Facebook audience. Because it really lets us in the process. It's so neat. Oh, there we go. Awesome.
Come on, man. Come on. Here's the deal. I'm from Scranton. You're not a ventriloquist. Not right now. I'm from Scranton, and that's okay. I'm telling you, here's the deal. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that is so cool. Yeah, I can see. It's interesting. It's a totally different face than either of the Trumps, and even the mouth and the way that you did it in the depth is just crazy. I mean,
what'd you expect? Come on, man.
That's awesome.
Look, I am what I am. Yeah. So together, arch enemies.
The face off.
There we go.
That's hilarious. And somehow you're stuck in the middle.
Oh no. Oh.
Oh man. Well, that's awesome. That is so cool. Well, did you take any challenges building that guy?
Yeah, the tilted lip. I didn't know how that was going to move. One that I had to have the glasses fit him, and other than that, I mean, he doesn't have a lot of features to really pull off on like Trump had a ton.
Right.
With Biden, he's a good looking older man, and it really didn't. There's not a lot there, so I had to work on the sneer, and I studied other people's caricatures, from the newspapers and stuff, online, caricature contests and that kind of thing, and you look for what other people see, and then what I saw was a much bigger forehead than the others had drawn, and then there was spitting image. My heroes in the UK had done already done a Biden, and so I knew well, like anything, I got to make sure that mine isn't that, and I got to make sure mine isn't any one of those. It's got to be mine, and so but seeing it was very helpful to that's where they went with it. A much bigger mouth, much bigger teeth. And then I studied Jim Carrey's caricature. Jim Carrey just was the bomb, man.
Oh, he was hilarious. Yeah.
I was so sad to hear that he wasn't going to do him anymore.
Yeah, so was I. Yeah, he was absolutely phenomenal as that. What was the turnaround time from this? I mean, because taking, doing a puppet is one thing. Even if it's custom, but doing a look-alike is a totally different ball of wax.
Yeah.
From taking, the dimensions and every whole detail.
Yeah, a couple of weeks of sculpting, and I'm so busy with lots of projects. I'm a multitasker, as you probably are. And you bounce around. I got to do this for a while, but then I get my back's sore, so I'm going to go do web stuff, and then I got to do emails. Then I'm going to do animation, and I'm going to do 3D development. Design for another character that's got to be done on the computer, sculpted on the computer. Then I come back to the clay, and it was like, all right, I can't wait to get back to the clay. So I've got this like multifaceted life that allows me to circulate, and then occasionally I get to talk to my wife and have dinner and stuff like that.
Well, I love that you talk about the all the aspects that you have to multitask. How have those played into the integration of Axtell's innovation over the years?
Oh, well, it's critical. The fact that I can bounce around and that I'm gifted with ADD. It's not just a disability, it is, but it keeps me from reading. It's a very difficult thing for me to read a book, but because I'm ADD, I can listen to a book. And so I've listened to hundreds of Audible books instead of being able to read. I fly. Whenever I fly, I always go into the little gift shop, and I get a business book. And I read this book on the airplane, and I'll read the very first forward or the first chapter, and I'm done. I'm through magazines, and I'm listening to songs, and I'm drawing pictures of new characters, and I just can't dig in. But I can listen to business books, and I've listened to hundreds of them. So that's been really helpful, But so it's been a curse, but it's been a blessing, as you say. I've been able to multitask innovations, and so by keeping my journals, which I hope you're doing, I hope you're journaling. And if you're not, start it, because man, oh man, you're going to look back at that in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and 40 years in my case, and looking back at the very beginnings, and I've got over 250 inventions in those notebooks that I haven't even done yet. The Dinkies were one. The Dinkies are one of those. And of course, the magic drawing board, a lot of the bird arm illusion, a lot of things that I have innovated and even have patents on and stuff are all part of those 250. So there's maybe 50 of them that I've done. 10 of them I've got patents on, and then the rest are just like not worth a patent, but it's, new idea and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course. I've got to tell you a story because since I perform and I'm a ventriloquist, I did this show for this Jewish family. I walk in, I'm setting up all my stuff, and I used the Axtell, Sea Monster, actually.
Oh, cool.
Monster, and always big hit. I have it built with the smoke, so we use a water dragon. That's what I call him, water dragon. And but the first thing the kids say to me when I'm setting up they're like, we had a ventriloquist at our summer camp. Do you have the magic drawing board?
Oh, no way.
Yeah. So it's become a known thing. It's so cool to me. And I just started laughing, and they're like, I don't get it. And it's just so it was cool. But yeah,
we sold 75,000 of those things.
Wow. I believe it. What?
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Get burned out, or do you have any advice to artists that experience that? I mean, do you have to take a break from it? Do you do other things? I mean, as a multitasker.
Sure. Yeah, that's why I multitask. I get short attention span, hit it hard, move on to something else, and I have projects going all over the place. So I've probably got 12 projects right now that I'm working on, right? And I like to keep them. I don't have the space like I'd like to have. None of us do. We don't have enough space. But at one point I did. I had a ton of space, and I would have those 12 projects set up with all the tools around them and leave them there and just be able to walk over to them and just pick it up and start in. And that's ideal. That's really ideal. But one of the guys that I really picked up on for inspiration was Doug Hall. I don't know if you've heard that name or not.
No, I
Doug Hall. Okay, Eureka Ranch in Ohio he wrote the book Jumpstart Your Brain, and he was really inspirational to me about creativity and how to systematically create inventions. And so Doug Hall is going to be a guest on my show Inside Axtell coming up in a couple of weeks. So make sure you watch, and I'm going to ask him all kinds of and he worked at Procter & Gamble. He was the head of the R&D department at Procter & Gamble with the McElroy brothers. Yeah,
that's crazy.
He worked with them, so I get to ask him about all
that.
Who
are they for our audience that might not know who they are?
The McElroy brothers were two brothers that made some of the world's best ventriloquist dummies figures, and they are just so mechanically involved. And they did characters like Jocko is one.
Yeah.
And some of the characters that very famous ventriloquists have used over the years, and their stuff is just remarkable. Everybody just marvels at them. They're engineering feats of accomplishment that other builders are like, how do they do that? Typewriter key-like stuff inside.
I love it. Where do people go to tune into that episode when you have
Inside Axtell? Well, you'll see. So it'll be coming up in a couple of Thursdays. So on Facebook.com/Axtell Expressions, that's our page, Axtell Expressions page. We do every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. We do Inside Axtell, and we go behind the scenes. And you've been on it. Yeah. We will feature people that have been that are customers, and we interviewed Darcy this week.
Yes.
Darcy Lynn was our guest, and Gary Owen, her manager, her ventriloquist coach, and just really get into the guts of stuff, and it is funny.
Yeah,
my son Ryan and I are we are
hilarious.
We're unleashed. We're unleashed.
Yeah,
we just try to make it as fun as possible. So it's fun watching the shenanigans that go on.
Yeah, well, I love that. In wrapping up here, Steve, what is your advice to beginner builders?
Beginner builders. Whoa. Well,
or Vince, whatever.
I'm telling you, builders, I would say the most important thing is to find your own look, like I was told when I was 14 years old. And like Landon, you have done. And try not to just make things like other people have made. I mean, find your own look. You're gonna get, as soon as you get known as a designer and as a specific look or a series of looks. It's not not one look, your style. You're going to become known, and you're going to be part of history. 100 years from now, when people look back, I mean, my name will be part of the legacy of ventriloquist builders, as you will be. And that's really remarkable when you think about the McElroy brothers and all, all of the great builders, Frank, just Marshall, so many great names. And it's just really neat. And I don't want to be just known as a puppet maker, but as a creative. And that's why we invented the AI, which you can see on our website, Axtell Intelligence. And those are characters that actually talk on their own. They're animatronic robots that are pre-programmed, but they will hold a conversation with you. Talk to them, they talk back, and they answer your questions. I'll tell jokes, sing songs. Yeah. Fun stuff.
Absolutely phenomenal. Steve Axtell, thank you so much for being, Oh,
you are one awesome rock star. I think you're amazing. Your show is amazing. All the stuff you're doing, your TikToks, your Instagrams, all your videos, you have a huge following, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I know you've got your eye on yourself as not only a builder, but as a performer, and you're going to be one of the next bigs.
Oh, well, thank you.
No question about it. No question.
Thank you so much. Well, it means a lot, and I'm so inspired by everything you've done. I remember when I was 8 years old, running into my dad's office and saying, "Look at this new Axtell puppet that he just released." And it's so neat to be able to chat with you at Terry's 10th anniversary at the Mirage, and of course to have you on Landon Live and to have you sharing your story. So thank you so much for being on here, and I think we're gonna end this with the Dinky Rabbit video. So let's go ahead.
Oh, cool! Thank you. Love it,
Steve. Bye, guys.
I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 and my ears go flop, flop, flop. I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 all over. Oh, I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 and I'm never gonna stop, stop, stop. I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 all over. Oh, oh. Horses run in the fields all day, and the fish, they swim all around in the bay. The birds, they fly in the sky so high. Ooh, the sky's too high for me. I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 and my ears go flop, flop, flop. I'm a rabbit and I hop, 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 all over. Oh, I'm a rabbit and I hop, hop,